physically impossible. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And you might have remembered about a month or so ago I made that map using rice, which I thought was really fun, really interesting. I was totally into it and it got me thinking about kind of more fantasy things and more kind of like D&D kind of stuff. And then I came across dice making and I was like, you know what? That sounds kind of fancy and kind of fun. And as I was shopping for dice molds, which I've got here, I also came across this, which is like a treasure chest mold. And I thought it'd be quite fun to make like a resin treasure chest, which I don't know how this is going to work. It seems like a very complicated mold. And then some dice to put in our treasure chest. How fun would that be? That'd be super cute. And then they could go along with the little map we made. Ah, perfect. Match and set. Everyone's going to want to explore the land of... I don't know, I didn't come up with a name. The land of somewhere.
Thrilling.
It's going to be a sellout game and a sellout show, and then they're going to have movies and franchises and everything. It's going to be great. What's the person who made Game of Thrones called? Is he called George? I'm going to be better than George. I don't know whether that's his name. And I also only managed to get to, I think, the 3rd season of Game of Thrones, and then I had no idea what was going on anymore. Literally, I think like a red witch came into it, and by that time, I had no idea who was still alive, who was dead, who was related to one another. So I was like, oh, I can't be arsed. So I stopped watching it. I think there was like a giant Viking lady in it, and I think it was before Ed Sheeran was in it for some reason. Which was a bit weird, wasn't it? Wasn't really my kind of show. Love the fact that people enjoy it, but I could never get away with it. Okay, so let's check out these molds first. Ah, cute. So this is the little dice mold. Oh, there's lots of numbers on it. Why does that dice have so many numbers? Okay, so this mold, you've got obviously all the dice parts in there. Look at that one. It's got like multiple numbers on each side, which I'd never seen before. And then obviously there's numbers on this as well. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see that particularly well. But once I put resin in here, we're going to kind of shove that on and clip it in. And then that's going to get the imprint from that. I keep losing my voice. I don't know what's wrong with this. I don't know whether I've been talking too much, but my voice just keeps disappearing. But this looks like quite an interesting little mold. Fun. Okay, and then this one, which I find very unusual and a bit risky. Oh god, there's so many parts to it. Okay, so I don't fully get it. This is like the lid of the treasure chest. That's the body. So I'm pouring resin into here, resin into there, resin into here as well. I don't know why. And then resin into this bit. And this is like a clippy bit. And then this is going to do something.
Ah, okay.
Sometimes molds look really complicated and you just have to, I don't know, go with it. If there's 1 second, I want to get my molds figured out first before I start on the resin. I'm just going to have a quick look on Amazon where I bought this from. Just so I can make more sense. Yeah, so I was right. So this part's a mold, this part's a mold, that is, and that is. This bit acts as kind of like the hinge, and this bit is like a clippy bit at the front, and it must clip onto something. The pictures make it look very simple, but I have a feeling this little treasure chest might not work. I hope it does though, because it looks super cute. I'll tell you what, we'll get some resin mixed up first, and then we'll figure out what I want to do. And what I want to do with this dice mold, I've got some alcohol inks here. I'm gonna go for a purple and green. And we're just gonna add 1 drop of purple right in the center and 1 drop of green. Perfect. That's all I want to do with that one. The next one, I've got some little glitters here. And I just want to carefully stick loads of glitter in that one. Perfect. Try not to get that everywhere, even though I already have, because glitter gets everywhere. In fact, another one, I'm going to go for pink and blue. A little bit in there, just 1 drop. Oops. Would it help if I got it in the mold? Missed again. I'm just wondering as well, because it'll make it easier rather than separating this resin into loads of different batches. If I just put the stuff into here, the actual mold, and then I can give it a little mix, can't I? That'll be easier. So I've also got some glow in the dark pigment, which I don't actually know whether it still glows in the dark because I've had it for years, but we're going to test it out and see. And then we'll obviously do a bit of mica powder. Love mica powders.
Love pink.
I know I say mica powder wrong. Before anyone says anything, if you're new here, I know it's mica powder, but I prefer mica powder. We'll go for a bit of this pinky colour. As you can tell, I'm just having fun with this. There's no actual plan. Then sticking with mica powders, I'm going to go for a bit of blue. And, oh, look at that orange. Yes, please. A bit of blue in here. And then also a little bit of orange in the blue. And then my final one, I think I want a bit of white alcohol ink. And I'm going to add some glitter to this one. That went everywhere. Okay, that was slightly tricky because everything is so tiny, it's hard to get everything into the exact hole.
That's what she said.
Now I just want to take my resin and pour it into each of these dice moulds, and then I'll see if it needs a bit of a mix later. Oh, the level of concentration was unreal. And then I just want to go into the ones that I think are going to need a mix. So this glitter one will need a bit of a mix. The thing is as well with the glitter and stuff, it might potentially all sink down to one side. It sometimes happens, but we'll see. Right, and then I know some of them had air bubbles. There's a few gaps. I just want to fill them right to the top. That one I put the white alcohol ink and red glitter in. It literally looks like cum. I'm sorry to be vulgar, but it does. It looks very cummy.
Come on, my tits.
Or actually, should I say milky? Milky is probably more of a nicer term to describe it. Okay, they're filled right to the top. Now, I'm gonna get this, figure out where it needs to be, put our lid on, and just get that all closed together. Oh, perfect. Oh, what a nice little mould that was. Now we can put that to one side and let it set. If there's some like overlap and some bits hanging off, I can always sand it off, so I'm not too kind of concerned about it. Right, before this resin sets, I'm gonna get all my chest mould pieces, and with this, oh, this resin's getting hot already. I need to be quick. I just want to add some alcohol ink on the top. Nothing too crazy, just like a little bit here, a little bit there. I want it to still be transparent, but I just want some like rivers of colour coming through the resin. Whether this will work, I don't know. But you know what I'm like, I like to experiment. I get this poured because otherwise it's all gonna go wrong. We'll start with this one first. You to one side, and this one now. Oh, them colours are lovely. See, sometimes I find when you pour, it looks really nice, and then when it's set, it looks ugly. So we'll just have to wait and find out. Pour some resin into here. Finally, some resin in this little tiny thing. Okay, great. I'm just gonna take my lollipop stick and level that one off. I'm honestly kind of stressed. That's Tudors. It's very stressful having to concentrate on such little things and feeling like you're on a time crunch. I felt like I was, you know, rushing around. But I think these might look good. I'm hoping. I've got a lot of faith and a lot of confidence. So I'll see you in a couple of days and we can get these out the moulds, and hopefully I've got a nice little treasure chest with some nice little dice. Please. Okay, I'm back with my resin pieces, and I don't know what to start with. I think we'll start with the treasure chest, see how this is gonna work. It looks kind of cool from the outside, like the effects on that look really nice, don't they? So I'm just hoping the rest of it inside has actually worked okay. Oh, cute. That's worked really well. So this is like the base of the chest. How nice is that? Oh, that's really cool. Like, this mould's pretty decent, isn't it? Okay, and then this will be the top of the chest, which I have a feeling is going to be a little tricky to get out. Oh, this is well nice. I'm proper into it. They just make some like really interesting moulds, don't they? Look at the detail on it. So then I'm assuming obviously this side is going to be a bit that clips onto here. I don't really know how it all fits together. Do I need to like glue it together or something? Oh wait. Oh my god, it literally just clips on. I suppose you could add a bit of glue or like UV resin, couldn't you? If you wanted to. I might, just to secure it a little bit more because it's a little loose. Okay, great. And then these are our little latches, are they? I don't know how these are going to go together. Give us 1 second, I'm going to have a look at the picture online. Okay, so it looks as if, so they would kind of go like this, wouldn't they? These clip in and are supposed to fit in there, are they? I don't feel like that's going to work. Goes like that, and then in there. That's not going to work. I think they've got a little video online. Hang on, I'm going to have to look at the video. It's very complicated. I don't know how they're expecting us to figure this out. I have a feeling I'm going to need to glue stuff together. Right, okay, yeah, they've UV'd it together. I thought so. They've either UV'd it together or they've super glued it together. So I'm just going to use some UV resin. Good job I've got some UV resin, isn't it? Alright, we'll get that part stuck on first. How nice do the colours look under the UV light? It's well fun. Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, there's absolutely no way this just clips together and it supports itself. It's physically impossible. But for some reason I was trying to make it work. I also think I'm going to end up having to drill holes in as well, because I've got these bits. It's very risky with resin, like drilling holes and stuff, because obviously you can shatter the resin. Okay, let's see if that's attached. Yep, perfect. And then how did they attach this? They had it like that on an angle, and then they're just sticking one side into there, are they? And then the other side, because then that's going to operate like that. Okay, I feel like I know how that's going to work. Right, a little bit of UV resin here. I feel like this is quite risky. You'll have to be super careful with this, mind. Like really careful, because otherwise it will fall apart. Okay, and then do the other side the same. This has to support this. This is such like a beastie thing. Okay, we'll just give it a go and see what happens. It's kind of working, but not really. Is that one even attached? Is it shite? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this little chest isn't gonna look particularly great. Well, it's gonna look fine, but it's just not gonna operate that well. I can't seem to get this to work. I'm wondering, scale that forward. I'm just gonna add some UV resin there and try and get that to set a little bit more forward. I know you're not gonna really see what I'm doing here or understand what I'm doing, but I'm basically just trying to ram it in place. It just hasn't worked particularly well. It's the joints. They should never have been made out of resin. It should have been like a little metal thing. Like a resin hinge isn't going to be practical at all, because the thing is, people don't realize resin shrinks, so it all hasn't like lined up properly. It kind of works if you just hold it. If you just have to kind of hold it in place. Okay, great. Love that. Now, how do I get the hardware on it? Oh, do I actually even need the screws then? I don't think I do. I could just UV resin it all on. Oh no, they did screw it as well. Okay, so they screwed it. I don't know if you're gluing it on. I don't feel like it needs to. Alright, anyway, I'm just going to add some UV resin on this bit and stick you onto here. I'm quite annoyed at the hinge situation because it would have looked really good if it had worked. But I knew it was never going to work. Oh, even this little latch thing, it doesn't really fit in amongst the grooves of the chest. Everything just feels a little bit off. I like it and I think it's a fun idea, I just don't think it's well made. I'm gonna add a bit more UV resin here and attach this bit. I'm not gonna add the screws, I don't see the point in it. I know it'll make it stronger and stuff, but the hinge is shite anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This isn't a practical chest, it's just to look at, okay? You can't touch it. So this is it here, and then it kind of operates almost like a little chest. It's very janky. You do not want to play with this. This just sits on your kind of desk and you leave it alone. You do not touch it. You do not put anything inside this chest, otherwise it'll break. Anyway, let's see what these dice are looking like. Oh, there's a lot of air pockets. Bear with us 1 second. I'm going to fill them before I take them out the mould, because that's bad. I knew there was a huge hole in this one. I could see before. Do a little bit of a patchwork. UV resin to the rescue. You're going to be fine. Oh, you can see that glow pigment. Look at that. That's crazy. I'm glad it still works. I've had that years and it's still working. Okay, let's get these unmolded. It's still not perfect, but they're better than they were. At least the holes are filled. I don't know whether you'll be able to see these up close. They look really nice. Like, look, which one was my favourite? This one was my favourite. Look at all the colours on that. That's with the mica powder, isn't it? Oh, that's well cool. I know they're a little bit rough, and some of them have gone a bit strange. I've got ink on that one. My hands are filthy. Where's all this colour come from? I think one of these dice, the ink hasn't like set on them because I'm getting ink everywhere. Can you even see that one? I don't know whether you can see that one. The glitter ones haven't turned out particularly well because the glitter's just kind of sunk to the bottom, and you can kind of see with that one, can't you? But they're really interesting. I think this one, the ink's coming off because my hands are absolutely filthy, so there must be some ink that hasn't like dried and set. And then we've got like another little cute mica powder one. I want to take this glow in the dark one downstairs and I want to see if it actually glows and what it looks like. And I'm also going to wash my hands, so bear with us 1 sec. Okay, moment of truth. I'll turn this UV torch out. Is it going to glow in the dark? I think it is. How cool is that? I don't know if the camera's even going to be able to pick up the detail. Very fun little dice. You could easily do a bunch of these and do like loads of different kind of coloured glow-in-the-dark dice. I think it's a clever little idea. A little bit hard to see, but still a very fun little idea. And then you can just charge them back up when you need to. But I think that just about does it for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I will try and put some footage up of like a closer look at the dice and the chest and stuff, because it's really hard to see. It's even hard to see on some of them in person what they actually look like. And I think if you are going to do resin dice, one thing that would be good is to use maybe like a bit of paint or something and go around the numbers to make the numbers stand out a bit more, because they're almost impossible to see. Like, I kind of loved my little chest, but I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna have to go back to that and fix it up or do something with it, because it's not practical, it's not right. I think also if you're making resin dice, I would make them out of UV resin. I think epoxy resin is just a little bit too hard to control for something so small. I think if you did it with UV resin, it would be a lot more manageable and kind of easier, but still not bad little craft idea. I would highly recommend it. But anyway, I'll see you next week for a brand new video. I've got something in my eye. I've had something in my eye all morning. It's irritating us. The thing is, I'm rubbing my eye and I know I've got ink all over my fingers, so I'm gonna end up getting so much paint and so much ink all over my face. There we go, I think I got it. It might have been an eyelash. I feel like I can see again. I just feel a bit blind today. I feel like the lights are really strong. I don't know whether I'm getting like proper old, but I'm like, oh my god, my lights,